podcasts and the American consumer, an agreement between audioBoom and Deezer, plus the evolution of podcast advertising.
Welcome to the Richard Daly Podcast, bringing you a UK perspective on the latest news and developments from the world of podcasting and internet radio.
Welcome to episode 33. I'm your host, Richard Daly. Each week I curate and discuss the latest news in podcasting and internet radio with a focus on the smaller podcaster, radio host and DJ. Business Wire reports on the GfK MRI's latest survey of the American consumer. The survey of the American consumer is used to create a huge database of current consumer consumption covering over 6,500 products and services. It includes media choices, demographics, lifestyles and attitudes, and is used to support the company's consumer research activities, and is used for many print advertising campaigns in the US. The survey found that 8.6% of US adults downloaded or listened to a podcast in the last month. Among podcast users, 53% were college graduates, 45% held managerial or professional jobs, and 45% were between the ages of 18 and 34. These percentages are well above the general US population figures. The survey reported on other media consumption habits of these podcast listeners and finds that they are big readers of print magazines, as well as visitors to the websites of those magazines, with some 70% of podcast listeners viewing their mobile phones as major sources of entertainment. GfK MRI also found that 20% of podcast users are what they describe as influentials. This means that they have taken part in 3 or more of 11 public activities, from attending a political rally or protest to making a speech themselves or even running for political office. This is 3 times the incidence of influentials in the total adult population of the US. GfK MRI's data goes on to show that more than 11% of podcast users are active members of groups that aim to influence public policy or government. Perhaps these figures go some way to explaining the passion and engagement we see from those who regularly consume podcasts. I'll put a link to an infographic summary of the survey results in the show notes for this episode at richarddaly.com/33. Some interesting news now from UK-based podcasting platform audioBoom. They have announced a partnership with the music streaming company Deezer that will see their podcasts added to the Deezer ecosystem. Deezer has 12 million active users, and these users will now be able to access lots of new podcasts through their membership of the site. Clearly, for the podcasters who use audioBoom, this is a good opportunity for their work to be exposed to a big, potentially new global audience. Initially, it looks like Deezer has been able to select which podcasts are added to their directory, with some 230 shows added for now. Quite a few of these podcasts are sport-related, and a number are in Spanish, which is a language spoken by many of Deezer's subscribers. On the football front, it's worth noting that Deezer recently became the exclusive music streaming partner for Manchester United, of course another global entertainment brand, at least off the pitch. What's interesting about this story is that it's only a year since Deezer sold Stitcher to Midroll for only $4.5 million, after previously acquiring the podcast app platform at an unknown but presumed higher price in October 2014. So what's Deezer's strategy? Well, I'm guessing this is a bit of backtracking to make sure they don't miss out on the current hype around the future of podcast advertising. Lastly, for this short episode this week, let's look at an article from Forbes titled Paradigm Shift, The Evolution of Podcast Advertising, written by Kurt Kauffer of Ad Results Media, which is a broadcast and digital advertising agency based in the US. The article discusses the growth in advertising in podcasts over the last 2 to 3 years and looks at what is attracting advertisers to the medium. The author suggests there are 4 main reasons this channel is interesting to advertisers. The first reason is that when podcast hosts endorse a specific product, they cannot really recommend 2 products in the same category. If you watch television, you can easily see adverts for different beers, for example, during the ad breaks of a programme. But when you listen to a podcast, you will only hear one advertiser in any category due to the typical exclusive nature of their advertising agreements. Steve Shanks, a partner at Ad Results Media, told Kauffer that clients love podcasts because they can block out the competitors and lock up the show and hosts indefinitely. This gives them a huge competitive advantage and a way to truly own an advertising medium. The second reason is the original and authentic nature of the host's endorsement. While radio and TV have strict rules and guidelines around advertising, there is usually a looser framework around the ad spot guidelines in podcasts. No 15-second radio read or 30-second maximum TV advert length here. A podcast host can talk about a brand's product as much time as they wish. A host-read endorsement usually comes across as personal and with integrity, rather than as overly salesy, and podcasters typically want to make sure that they are advertising a product or service they actually like. Third is the relationship between the host and their audience, and the resulting level of engagement this can bring. Podcast listeners tend to become intimately familiar with the host, so they are more likely to believe them when they talk about how amazing a particular product or service is. Finally, there is limited ad inventory available on podcasts compared to other advertising channels like websites or television. Most podcasters will want to have or only have space for 2 or 3 adverts during one episode. This could mean a total of 2 or 3 minutes of ads during a show that could be 22 minutes, 45 minutes, or more than an hour in length. In comparison, a 60-minute television show on a commercial channel typically includes 13 to 14 minutes of adverts per hour. And of course, those TV adverts are batched together, covering many different categories of products, and so individual items will stand out far less. The author concludes that any one of these reasons on its own is probably strong enough for an advertiser to try out podcasting, so together they make podcasting a really powerful proposition. Okay, so that's all the news from the Richard Daly podcast for this week. If you enjoyed this episode, do share it with a friend on Apple Podcasts. You can now find the podcast on iHeartRadio as well, and it's also listed in the pod search directory. If you visit my website at richarddaly.com, you will find all of my social media links as well as the various ways you can subscribe to the show. The show notes for this episode are at richarddaly.com/33. As usual, please send me your questions or comments, and if there is a topic you'd like me to cover, then you can tweet me. As always, I really appreciate your feedback. If you're enjoying the podcast, I would be delighted if you would leave me a rating and review at Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode.